Om Namah Shivaya. Verse 6 of the Isha Upanishad. He who sees all beings in this very self, and the self in all beings, feels no hatred by virtue of that realization. And this is a lovely verse, so short, and yet even in the first half of the verse, he who sees all beings in this very self, and the self in all beings, sums up enlightenment. That is enlightenment. And you find that same statement in chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 29, 30, and Kaivalya Upanishad. You find it in other places too. That's the essence of enlightenment. But this verse in the Isha Upanishad adds something else. It says he feels no hatred by virtue of that realization. So it's bringing it down to earth, talking about something very practical. He feels no hatred. And this applies to all beings, right? It's easy to see the higher self in someone when they're nice to you, when they're very sweet and loving and kind to you. But what about when somebody's mean to you? Or they're judging you, they're attacking you in some way? Then it's almost impossible to see their higher self, right? I mean, we've all been there. It's very hard. You end up focusing on their ego. And instead of feeling that unity with them, you feel that they are bad and they are different from you. And so suddenly there's just no sign of divinity in them whatsoever. You can't see it. So what do? It's a torturous situation. We don't want to feel negative. We'd much rather see the divine in somebody else, but we can't. So how do you dig yourself out of this? There's a great secret to this. And actually, this verse reveals that secret. It's in not seeing them as different, not seeing them as bad. So how do we do that? Well, we're not seeing their higher self. And now, because we're reacting, we've lost sight of our own higher self. So we have an ego seeing an ego. Let's still use this verse. Let's see this ego and that ego and that ego and this ego. Let's get some unity going, okay? So to do this, it's not so difficult. What are the qualities that you see now in them? Maybe arrogance, pride. Maybe they're being mean. Maybe they're angry. All these different characteristics. Can you find the same characteristics in yourself? Maybe not in this moment, but in the past even. Can you find those same things in yourself? Maybe you didn't say exactly the same words. Maybe you didn't do the exact same actions. But those characteristics, arrogance, pride, anger, whatever it is that you're reacting to, can you find that in yourself? The interesting thing is, we have the whole universe within us. And so, sure enough, we all have these qualities. We've all had these qualities, at least. Once you can find that quality in yourself, okay, let's say he's being super arrogant, this person that I'm reacting to. Yeah, I've been arrogant in the past. I've done similar things, and I've hurt people's feelings in the same way. Suddenly, now, they're not so different. You're starting to see their ego in your ego, and your ego in them. There's some unity starting to develop. And once that happens, your reaction starts to relax. You're not so reactive, not so angry. And as your reaction relaxes, you're starting to be able to maybe get in touch with your higher, kinder self. And you're starting to see something higher in them. You can see how they're caught. You can feel compassion for them, love for them. Forgiveness can start to come. All because you're seeing, just even on that level of ego, their ego in you and your ego in them. It's that unity that's the trick. Okay? That unity does it. And like I say, when you start to see that similarity on the level of ego, reaction relaxes, you settle into a more peaceful, generous, loving space. You connect with your higher self. You start to see their higher self. And now you're moving even closer to the real truth of this verse, seeing all beings in this very self, and this self in all beings. And the more you can do this, the quicker you feel forgiveness, the quicker you come back to a loving space. And as you have this experience more and more, soon you won't even be offended in the first place. You'll be starting to live a taste of enlightenment and the beginning of universal love. Om Tat Sat.